All right, guys, welcome to Wealth Cartel Season 3. I think this is the second episode where we chat nice and raw and just have a conversation about mindset, that kind of stuff. We've got Lucy here from AKA Racing. Lucy is, she's the horse trainer for all my horses. Whenever I get them, let go of them, get them, whatever, I just tell Lucy to keep rolling my money into new stuff. And they're doing really, really well. So welcome, Lucy. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Look at this weapon in the background.
There he goes. He keeps moving.
This is another one that ran yesterday, and would he come?
Third, beaten under 2 lengths.
Look at this beast. It'll be a
having some downtime today.
It'll be a dub the next one. It'll be a big win the next one.
Yeah, it will. It will. For sure.
So today's conversation, Liz, we're going to chat a bit different to the last episode you jumped on. Today we're going to chat about sort of, I guess, your mindset shift, right? So we've I'm actually excited to have you on here for this one because you have dramatically changed in the last, had COVID and the floods and everything like that, and probably the last couple of years you had more of an excuse than ever to fail, but you've actually made some change, and there was some stressful periods there, but you made some changes and picked it up and really launched. So what I want you to talk about is give us a bit of a background to who you are, what you guys do, what has happened over the last couple of years, where you are at now, and then we can get into talking about what you think some of your big lessons and mind shifts have been across that to get you to where you are. Keep in mind, I want to keep these things under about half an hour, so people to digest, so we'll go from there. So take it away.
Easy peasy. Okay, so Jason and I trained together from our property here at Grosvale and at the training track at Hawkesbury. Quite a long journey that we've both been on to get to here. But to summarise the last 2 or 3 years, really that's where the main focus should be on. We bought the farm in 2019. That
Sorry,
probably
just one step I'd like to hear before that. Where'd you come from prior to that? Because I think that's important.
UK, England, English, innit?
No, what trainers did you come from?
Oh, okay. Beg your pardon. Not actually literally where I came from.
I think everyone knew where you come from. You sound like you're from London.
It's a London thing. No, bit posher than that. I'm from Sussex, actually. So I came through the ranks of my first job with racehorses in Australia was with Darley, whilst it was still Darley, and I worked under Peter Snowden. He was the head trainer there at the time. I then moved over to Patnack, the pre-training facility under John Thompson and his dad, Vic Thompson, at Hawkesbury. Unfortunately, Patnack folded. We were all made redundant. Good old Mr. Tinkler, thank you very much. But was probably a huge blessing in disguise because, as they say, one door closes and another one opens. Found myself working at Rose Hill, which was really daunting, actually, coming from Hawkesbury track going to Rose Hill. I remember driving in there one afternoon just to go and suss the place out, and sort of got over the crest of the hill. There was a big sign that says Rose Hill Racecourse, and I was saying to Jason, "Oh my god, I can't do this! I can't do this! I can't do this!" Anyway, best thing ever. Did a short couple of months for Team Hawks, and I was actually approached by the then assistant trainer at Chris Waller's, and due to visa reasons and needing to be sponsored, they were offering a pretty good deal for me to switch over from Team Hawks to the Waller camp. So I did that and spent 4 and a bit years down there at Rose Hill with Chris Waller, which was just the most amazing experience. And it was at a time where his name was definitely becoming household, but he probably wasn't quite where he is now today. And so I think in terms of the experience I had there, he was definitely very approachable. And you'd see a lot of him every day. I think now
you were seeing a lot of that business go from, like, it was still big then, like it was huge then, but it was a big transition period then from pretty much the time of where it was to where it is now happened in that period.
Yeah, exactly. It was very much in a transitional period then, and so he didn't have his Melbourne stable when I was there, and that was just in the throes of getting set up. He didn't have Warwick Farm stables. He didn't have the Gold Coast stables either. So we probably had about 100 horses in work at Rose Hill. That obviously now has crept up to about 140, I believe, at Rose Hill, plus his Warwick Farm base, plus the Melbourne stable, and plus Queensland. So it was very much going through a transitional stage. He was very, very successful then, as he's remained to be now. And I think the pinnacle of me working there was going through the ranks with Winx. I still have worksheets of me riding her and doing some of her first ever pieces of gallop work before she was even named, before anybody really had any idea.
That gives us some good insight to how he's almost beat her then, eh?
Well, you know what's funny, that day in the Theo Marks at Rose Hill, I was still working for Chris. Jason had Sons of John in training, and the winner of that race was ballot exempt from the Epsom, which is why Jason had put Sons of John in it. It was trying to get him into the Epsom, and obviously we were in the photo finish with Winx, and it was very tight. It was probably the longest photo finish that they've ever taken with Winx. And after the race, Chris came up and shook Jason's hand and said, mate, I'm really sorry. What do you say? Like, oh, it's all good, dude.
Anyone who's never seen that, it's by far the closest Winx has ever come to losing, and it was by a bee's dick, like an absolute bee's dick. It didn't look like Sons of John didn't look like losing until it lost.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was so close, and it was, you know what? It was so nice that we had that rapport and that support from Chris. And then obviously we went on and we raced in the Epsom that year, and he ran third, and he ran a huge race. And just being on that journey, the horse then went down to Melbourne, and Winx was racing down there at the same time. And it was just it was a good time to be involved with both stables and to have the best of both worlds. So yeah, no.
And as a segue to the other half of this partnership, I guess, because he's not there, because he's probably out making some cow statues or something.
I think he's actually putting a shoe back on a horse. I can hear some crashing and banging going on in the barn. So,
the other part of this is Jace, who is just a typical farm boy, hard worker, gets out there from, I don't know, all kinds of hours of the morning to the hour, and then sinks a few beers and does it all over again. We're talking to Luce because Luce is the business runner here. Jace just gets out in the paddock 99% of the time and gets his hands dirty. He doesn't want to talk about any of this stuff.
No, you've lost him at Zoom meeting. That's it. I've got to do something out there. There's a fence that needs fixing.
If you do want to see Jason in his absolute element, go check out our first podcast with him. That's a good laugh.
Oh, bless him. Okay, so that brings us up to speed with me having done a stint with Chris, and then coming on board full time with Jason before we bought the farm, and running the business together. Although I wasn't a licensed trainer at that point in time. I'm just going to turn a little bit because they're all having turnout this afternoon and they're running around going crazy. It was brilliant. So I took out my training license to train in conjunction and partnership with Jace 2019, August 2019. And this season just closed. We've had our best season that we've had to date, triple the amount of winners that we had last season. And with everything that we've been chipping away with the business and with the farm, it's all just now nicely coming together. So it's very rewarding.
That's something I'd like to touch on when you finish today, like the mindset stuff. This season is amazing because without diving into it in too much depth, I want everyone who's watching this to know that we didn't feel this way at the start of the season. We didn't feel, we were actually having conversations of, Lucy was quite under the pressure and the stress and COVID and floods and horses that should be winning that weren't winning. And there was a lot of stress in this business. And that I messaged you the other day, Lucy, and said, I'm so fucking proud of you guys. And I say it often because there was very many reasons for you guys to pack it in at any given time. Like any other person could have. And it just goes to say, not only because you stuck to it, but you made hard and tough decisions in that season that might not have felt at the time like it directly resulted in this having the best season. But if we look at all the hard decisions you had to make over the year and stuck to your guns, you put them all together, and obviously training wise and horses, they always play a part, but there's a lot more to what you guys have done this season that has resulted from what we didn't think we were worried about to a fucking phenomenal season. Is a second essence of what you've done,
Exactly. And I think it's, it's really hard, working hard, doing whatever you're doing, running Sorry, old mate in the background's pretty
Who's
happy
that
to be
one?
out. That's Sarism. He's a hellbent gelding. He's probably our next group horse.
Yeah,
You heard
I
it
saw
here first.
that.
He's also a hooligan. He's an absolute hooligan.
How much space we got in ownership over there?
No, none,
Damn
sadly.
it. Jeff is looking at me going, no more.
So yeah, look, it's hard going running any business. It's hard going working for yourself. Obviously, the rewards are huge, and it can be a great thing to be doing. But it's also from a mental point of view. Yeah, man, you've got to be tough and not just training racehorses. I mean, this is probably the least reward for effort. We're getting out of bed at 20 to 4 in the morning. Most days you're going until 5, 6 in the evening. There's a lot of different aspects to it, not just physical work, but mental thinking and organizing the horses and logistical stuff, managing the staff. There's so many different angles to it. And then to be dragging horses to the races, regardless of where it is, but particularly if you're having to travel a couple of hours or more to go to the races and the horse is not running as you expect them to run, or things happening, soul destroying. Really, really hard. Really hard also to tell people who have a horse that they believe can still win a race based in the Sydney region, that actually it doesn't fit your model and it shouldn't fit their model, and moving those horses on, because especially if people are paying their bills, it's a
Yeah, well,
refitting.
that's who the bill pays. But that's a good little insight too. Tell the people that are watching something we've worked on in the last 12 months what your target market is. Like, so we went from this has always been here, but now we're really actively pursuing that. And what is that?
Target market in terms of clientele or horses, or both?
Both. So with
Okay.
we talk about the people, we want provincial winners, not we want to. That's where
Yeah, we want horses that can be competitive at provincial level. If we have to go to the country with a horse to give it some confidence and to win a race or two with it first in its career, absolutely fine. But really, if those horses can't compete effectively at provincial level and midweek level, then part of our business model is to not have those horses in our system. And
And that's huge. That's huge, given the fact you've just had the season you've had. Because I know, like, I put my hand up first to say, as a pretty rookie owner, sometimes when you just want to dub, sometimes when you just want to win, you're like, let's get out to the country, and we don't care about the money, and we're like, let's get out of the country and have a win. And it's very hard. So the fact that you've had the season you've had sticking to those guns is phenomenal,
Yeah, and the proof has been in the pudding, and I think also it helps you sort the wheat out from the chaff in the quality of horses that you have and the caliber of them, and that you want to have them racing for a good 3 or 4 years and see them go through their grades. And yeah, it's perfect. Start them off at country level if you have to, but really, you've got to have a horse that can win at provincial level and keep winning at provincial level if it's going to make it to city grade. We've been incredibly lucky with Racing New South Wales and Peter V'landys in the sense that they've injected so much into this industry in prize money, also for retired racehorses, also for the stable hands in how much they get in bonus. And that's been a big press release this week as well. So we're very lucky and privileged to be training in this jurisdiction. And so I think, our business model is a very fitting one, that we need to have that quality of horses and also the quality of clientele. So people that run their own businesses, people that are achievers, people that have their sights set on things in their everyday lives, business and personal, but also people that have a passion for horse racing, that want to come on a journey with us, that understand our business model, our mantra, that want to have fun at the races, but also want to have fun come out at the farm, see the place here and have an interest in it, and not just be somebody who's got oodles of money who doesn't come to see their horses or doesn't come to the races. Don't get me wrong, that's probably your perfect owner, somebody that you don't particularly hear from, that's happy with what you're doing, that trusts in you, that pays their bills. But it's so nice. I think the best thing yesterday, we ran a place with that horse. He's been a long work in progress. He's now 4, and he's only just started his racing career because he's had to have time. But on the flip side of that is the owners who were so thrilled that the horse ran 3rd place, and they're so excited about him going forward, and the fact that he's still got his dangly bits and he may just make it to a little stud somewhere as a stallion. You never know. It keeps the dream alive.
But that's what I love about it too. Like, we started, and when it was tough post COVID, we were like, far out, we need some rich owners, and you got a couple, and you started. There was a lot of people that just you were like, you sort of ended up not being happy with, care how much money you got. It was a headache, you know, and so you started remembering that. And I even noticed it now, like Mirror Model, who's my horse now, again, the group chat that you've got us in, like the vibe in that chat's amazing. Like those two guys, I don't know any of them, but all of them are just like, even yesterday, just not even our horse, but everyone watches. And like I said, Dad, you know, Dad's one of your owners, and every day he searches which horse you've got on. He puts a pun on it, like and it's really, it should be a real. People should know this. Like, I've worked physically before, right? Like military and on the road, that kind of stuff, and it's tiring. Like for tradies, I've worked in the office, which I do now every day. It's tiring as well. People got to understand, Lucy does both, right? Like you do that physical side, and you've got to run the business as well. And then you've got to put a smile on and talk to owners and keep client communication. And then also the amazing part is we get to, and what I've seen the big difference is getting, like, coming up to the farm and seeing that, like, I don't know what it is. Like I've been to lots of farms and lots of race stables and stuff like that. And even with some amazing horses, you get a vibe, you know what I mean? Like you get a vibe of horses, and you just, when you walk through your farm, like the horses just, everything, the vibe's good. Like horses, it feels like everyone's just having the best time ever.
Leading their best lives.
Yeah, 100%, especially Rog. And
yeah, I know. He's down
he's
here.
Just there. I just saw him.
He's on cocky patrol. That's what all the shouting is about, because the cockatoos come down and eat the horse's feed, and he's like, "No, fuck you. That's not your."
But I think that's a huge statement around the mindset, because, like I said, and this happened. I've had this happen to me as well. Like, you're in business and shit's going tough, and you can easily pass that off to the vibe, right? Let's talk about any business having a vibe, right? And you can easily pass it off, and not once has that stopped. And I think that's been something to keep you going. So let's talk about that part. Then let's talk about over the last couple of years, less about, you know, you've obviously had, what was that? Something sweeper?
Oh no, there's I was obviously going to the RAF base, some firefighting plane. And sorry, I get easily distracted. I'm like, ooh, what's that?
So let's talk about the shifts, right? Like more so, I don't like. We don't have to talk too much about. Oh, these, I love watching horses do that. Remember when Tweed did that? Remember when Tweed used to do that? Tweed's still my big boy's down there somewhere. I went to saw him the other week.
I was threatening to ride him today, actually. I didn't find out.
So, what are the big mindset shifts? Like the things that you are in control of? Because what I love about you and your business, there's so many uncontrollables that happen all the time that could fold you in. And you never let it get in front of you. And you started to really focus on the controllables. Yeah. What a mindset shift, things that you feel like you've actively done over the last couple of years to get you from there to sort of this. And to be fair, team, we're only just getting started, right? This is the foundation of the good stuff moving forward. But I think, like any business, if you can get past the first few years of shit, which is always going to be the hardest, the rest tells its own story, right? And we're pretty much there. That's where we're starting. Tell me about your mindset shift for that.
I think mindset shift, particularly when we bought and invested in the farm, was very much like the whole purpose of, we are doing this for ourselves. This is not a dress rehearsal. Just get up every day, show up. No, you're not going to be happy every day. You're not going to be able to be cheerful every day. Me particularly, like, you know, sometimes I just feel like impending doom, especially when you've done 3, 4, 5 days of 18-hour days, and you've been here, there, and everywhere racing, and you're absolutely bushed, and you don't even feel like talking to anyone. It's funny, actually, we had this whole scenario yesterday on the way home from the races, and someone had tried to call me, and I just sent a message saying, I'm just eating something, just give me, 10 minutes and recharge. And that whole mindset, as you said, putting that, and even when you talk to people on the phone, I know very early on when I did a customer service role, putting a smile on your face when you're talking to somebody actually projects to that person if they can't see you. And that was back in the day when you didn't have video calling, like no one even realized it was going to be invented, but it does actually project to that person that you're talking to. And I think leading by examples, very important, and certainly don't expect anyone that does anything here to do anything that Jason or I wouldn't do now and haven't done previously. And just trying to find
you need to stop doing and delegate.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. And I think also, just that whole accept the things that you can't change, improve the things that you can. And acceptance for those sorts of things. And as you highlighted, just rolling with the stuff that you can't change. I mean, we've had a blow today with a horse who was going on to a really great autumn campaign and would be racing in one of the races that's just been announced. Anyway, we've had a blow with him today. He's had a setback and he's going to be out for a few months. That's really hard. Today is a really shit day. But on the other side of that, we're still going to have a horse at the end of it, and you just got to move on with it and focus on the next thing. And I think looking at what is directly in front of you is the most important thing. Doesn't matter what Joe Bloggs is doing down the road. It doesn't matter what Chris Waller's doing. What Jason and I are doing, what's happening here on the farm, making it bite-sized. What can we afford to do? Okay, we've managed to get finance for a horse walker, so we're chipping away at that. The horse walker's sitting here waiting to go up, but then we need concrete and a pad and this, that and the other, but we want to make sure that financially it's all achievable. So chip away at the walker that's sitting here on the floor and then make the next step achievable. And I think breaking it down to bite size. Oh, that's good. Someone's just tipped their entire water bucket over. Dipshit. Why would you do now trying to drink out of a muddy puddle? Why would you do that? So dumb.
Flavor.
Something like that. Anyway, I just think it is hard, but a positive mental attitude and a little bit of self-care and self-help goes a long way. And communication. We have bad days, all of us, and Jason and I don't always get along at work, and we live together, and you've just got to accept that those days happen and not dwell on those things. Just keep moving forward and doing the best you can, and the results do come. Nothing is instantaneous.
No, I've got three key things in our relationship that I've noticed since we're dealing with you, and that I've seen dramatic shift off. I was wondering if you can pinpoint any. If there's any considerable moments in the last couple of years that you've had light bulb. Now, obviously, I can only say from now because it's only when we interact I see this. But in the last couple of years, what are a couple of maybe absolute light bulb key moments you think?
I think probably having the confidence to, if we need to sack somebody or something, so human or horse, having the confidence to do it and say, you know what, this isn't going to benefit us. This is going to end up in a shit show, and we're not doing it. I think that's probably one of the biggest things, and being brave to do that. And it's not being brave
and making clients or staff,
but both.
Yeah,
both. I've got Jason here just to say hello quickly. He's just got talking about him being out on the farm the whole time. He's just come and got a horse that we're breaking in at the moment. She's nearly broken in. She's got a sore foot, so he's just come down and got her out of the paddock to hello.
Hey, whoa, there he is.
It's Ryan. I'm doing a podcast with him, and he was just.
See, you're being filmed for the public.
Yeah, you're being filmed for the public. He said, "Yeah, well, that's good.
That's what you got to deal with as a valued client. That's what you got to deal with."
Can the real Slim Shady please stand up? Funny. Yeah, so that sums it up, I think. But I'm interested to hear what you think the three or some of the shifts that you've seen from an outside perspective have been.
Yeah, 100%. There's three key moments that I saw. First one was, and I'll put it out there that Lucy doesn't take a backward step at the best of times, but there was at the start of our relationship, you were still, I guess, accommodating to people that you probably shouldn't have been. Because Lucy's very similar to me, people. Like, she tries to see the best in people, but then when it gets too far, she lets it loose. So, but I think,
Did you see she keeps picking the bucket up? Hang on, here we go. She's emptied the water and now she's picking the bucket up. That's a good game. There's no water shortage at the moment, so it's all fine. Here we go. Yeah, up it goes. Come on, perform, you little bitch.
That's not little. That one's big.
Oh, there you go.
There we are. The truth.
Sorry.
You're right. So I think like I said, you don't take a backward step, but there was a period at the start when I met you that you were still accommodating to the people that I didn't think you should have been accommodating to. And there was that shift in moment. I remember because there was a phone call you had one time. I might have been over at your house doing some finance stuff, or you were on the phone to me, you had to get off, and you had this owner that was just peppering you, and you end up just going, fucking pull your head in, and pretty much had a crack at him. And it was kind of that moment on, you just pretty much stopped even engaging in the shit that wasn't making you happy. That was the first one I saw. Yeah. And we obviously have our own personal experience that we know about that's shifted pretty hard with one of our one of our horses. So that was pretty good. You know, that was a big change as well for yourself.
Yeah.
Then the next one was when we sat down and tracked your money.
Oh yeah,
Right?
100%.
So when we sat down and tracked how much the horses cost and that kind of stuff, I just saw this light bulb when you just kind of got this confidence to go, fuck, like that's like we can do this.
Yeah.
Like it was just, and you said before, you keep one step ahead of you, but at the same token, I don't think you allowed yourself to zoom out and sort of think, okay, well, what is the next step? Where you can't improve what you can't track, right? What you don't track, you can't improve. And you did that. And that was huge. And then the third one, without a doubt, was when we did the business planning meeting and we sat back and we got the niche market down, and I saw that light bulb reflect in yourself a little bit. Like you looked like, oh no, oh fuck, like I feel because at the time you piss off. That's Dad probably wanting tips. Lucy, Dad wants tips.
Take a brolly out when it rains.
That's the best. So then, I saw that we did that niche marketing stuff, and you went from like you were in that deep stress moment. I think it was just before the floods, but right after COVID. This was early season. We hadn't really had many winners, and you were stressing out a bit. And I saw you go from this real like stress period to just you saw that holy fuck, I just need to take one step this way. And you started being fulfilled. And literally ever since that meeting, and this isn't on me, guys, this was you making the action, but ever since that meeting, everything has just been like sunnier. Like I just saw a lot more since then. And there's 3 moments that I saw real big shifts in you, sort of realizing that, fuck, we're doing all right, right? Like you're getting 2 in your own head and 2 in a small space. Secondly, we were talking about, mate, if it all gets to shit, you just sell the whole farm and go retire. And you're like, fuck, that's true. Like, that's easy. And thirdly, just getting back to doing what you love. You know what I mean? Like, stop focusing on the money and chasing that and start focusing. And I think those are the 3 biggest shifts I've seen. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I think having that, as I just touched on before, confidence we lost a horse, as in it got sent somewhere else to train. It had an accident here on farm, and it was just an accident. And it got sent somewhere else to train, and we had an opinion of this horse and all the rest of it, and those things cut deep, and so they should, because everything is a lesson in business. But I think also moving on more promptly from those things and being comfortable with the people that you have around you, working with you, the owners that you have, the horses that you have, the relationships that you have. And it's said tongue in cheek, a no dickhead policy, but it runs deep. It runs deep because you don't need to be dealing with stuff on a daily basis that is giving you grief and anxiety, and people that don't have confidence in you and what you're doing, and they're not worthy of your time. They're not worthy of your time.
That's probably out of all those 3 situations, if I could sum it back and relate it to other people, I could sum it back to what I feel it was. I feel like you finally got back to backing yourself, right? I feel like you got into a period where you were getting, and we all were, and everyone in business does this, you were getting so focused on, fuck, it's the quality of the horse, it's the quality of the owner, right? You were starting to bank on, like we had Tweed, right? Like we had big ambitions for Tweed. Tweed got injured. We had Missy, right? Missy had big ambitions and we got rid of her, right? We had some horses that got injured. We had a little colt that we thought was going to be all right, and nothing. So like we had all these things happen, and I feel like you let yourself get in your head where you were like, you were putting too much emphasis on the horse and on the owners you had, rather than backing yourself that, fuck, I'll get another horse and I'll make a win, right? I'll get another horse. I'm the skill here. And I think a lot of people can take that away in business, because even with clients, like say you got a contract, people might be like an electrician or whatever they are, and they get a really good contract, and that contract winds up and they go, oh, fuck. Like they put the emphasis on the contract being the benefit, not back yourself. You're good at what you do. Go and make it happen anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where you are now, because even now when I come to say, oh, what horse we got? You're like, like this one. Like obviously I'm attached to Mirror Model and stuff now, but you're a lot more open to, doesn't matter. Like because as well, your niche is allowing you to zone in on the stuff you want anyway.
The important stuff, the big stuff. And I think also having that security of having a bit of a long-term plan for business, personal, finances. COVID's really hard for everybody. And I think to come out of COVID and still want to be running a business, no matter who you are or what you're doing, when the incentives from the government have shown a lot of people that it's way easier to sit on your ass and get handouts from the government and you don't have to do anything. I think people who are wanting to make money, and they're the ones that are ultimately penalized for it. And I know that sounds negative, and I don't mean it to be negative. What I mean from it is, if you've come through the other side, that's a huge positive, and keep battling, because it's not always going to be a taker's world. It's just not. And the people that are giving their all, eventually it'll go full circle, and you'll come back out on top, and you'll be just like, work hard for yourself every single day. Work hard at what you do. Don't go to work being unhappy. If you're going to work being unhappy, whether it's for yourself or somebody else, change what you're doing. And if that pattern continues, then you need to have, like I did, I went back to college in my late 20s to get an HND in equine studies, and it was the best thing I ever did. No, the qualification itself didn't open up avenues for me, but the experience of being at college, the experience of the people that I met, the relationships that I made, the places that I worked at whilst I was at college, it's opened all of the doors for me now, 100%. And so I think, I didn't have any direction for a long time. I had no direction. And that whole expression of, if you haven't made it by the time you're 40, you're not going to, a little bit negative, but I think it's certainly, you need to kickstart yourself into stuff and get going in your 30s. That's probably when you're at your prime for it, and be driven and dedicated. And that's all the things.
On top of that, Luce, you got to put it. And this is where I think another big part for you. You got to define what making it is. Like, I think as well, a lot of business, like you guys as well, a lot of business owners at the start, we focus on the money value, but fuck, I say to you all the time, take a step back. Look where you are right now. Like, how's that not made it? You know what I mean? Like, if your worst case scenario right now is pretty fucking good. So but when you get in your own head every day, like, no, I should be doing this. But realistically, there's a million people that look at what you have and go, fuck, that's a dream,
Yeah, exactly. And I think, as I said before, be thankful. And it's one of the things that my dear mum says to me every day on a, being positive level. Find one thing to be positive for. And this is, here you go, this is how old fashioned she is, bless her, back in the day when cars were not so reliable. Just be thankful if you've got in your car and it started first time, which I think people of a certain age now wouldn't understand at all. Well, of course it's got to start first time. I mean, what the hell is she talking about? But it's not always the case, is it? Be thankful the sun's shining. Be thankful you have a roof over your head. There's so much all of us have to be thankful for, as you say. Like, I think sometimes getting in your own head and focusing on the wrong stuff can just be so oppressive. And actually, just go for a walk. I know it sounds really out there. 30-minute walk, your footfall works in time with your heartbeat, and it clears your head.
And if you need to, just go for a drive up to Grossvale and go for a walk around.
Yeah, just come and inhale the fresh air and the horse shit here and meet the madness.
So that's good. That was really good chat. What else? What's happening now? So what do you got on the plate for the business? What's the plans moving forward?
So plans for the business, gearing up for sales season starting in January, Magic Million sales. Got 4 weanlings that we'll syndicate ourselves. So that's 4 horses we don't need to buy next year. A couple of them are really, well, they're all nice. A couple of them are really nicely bred. So that's exciting. New season, obviously we started the new season with a place getter yesterday. Got a couple of horses running next week. Got some hope on the horizon. And yeah, look, that's the just keep on keeping on with the business, not changing what we're doing, and just getting through the horses. If we have a quiet time with the racing for the next few months, as I said, we'd had a bit of a blow today with the horse having a setback. That happens. Don't focus too much on that. Focus on the next stages and the next horses coming through.
And if a client wants to get in touch and discuss, what's the best ways for them to do that?
Call me, text, email, hop on the website, hop onto the social pages. We're very much try and steer away from an automated response. Obviously it happens because it's set up that way, but would much rather talk to somebody on the phone and invite them to the farm, and to get involved that way and see what we're about, because it's got to be right for both parties.
And I know you guys are always looking for quality staff. If there's anyone out there that might want to come and work with you guys,
work with the horses and the madness, absolutely.
And then obviously keep an eye out, team, that the little cottage will be up to have a little holiday in, which Gemma and I take full advantage of. But you need to invoice me still, by the way. I'll put you on notice in front of everyone.
Oh no, that's shocking, isn't it? doing my best to get the horse invoices out. I will invoice you.
All right. Is there anything else you want to add, Lewis?
No, I think all good. Just keep your chin up, take a walk, chat to people, breathe the fresh air. Be thankful you have your health, because if you don't have that, you've got nothing.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll chat to you soon.
No worries. See ya.